Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Tim Schaefer. I'm the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, and welcome to our Fort Hunter Access, one of the premier places to access the Susquehanna River, and a lot of people will be doing that this 4th of July weekend. To make sure everybody stays safe for the weekend, one of the things we do statewide every year is Operation Dry Water. Today we're going to highlight Operation Dry Water. You're going to hear from a couple speakers about tips for staying safe on the water. Beside me here is Commissioner Steve Ketterer, recently appointed as one of our Boating at Large commissioners. He's from right here in Dauphin County. You'll also hear from Cameron Bettinger, who's one of our Waterways Conservation Officers. His district is right behind me, and he will be out on this waterway with others, making sure the boaters stay safe this weekend and all summer long. And then Tom Cobley is he's the Regional DUI Program Administrator for the Pennsylvania DUI Association. So together they are going to share a couple of safety tips to keep people safe on the water. With that, I'll turn it over to Waterways Conservation Officer Cameron Bettinger to kick us off with some tips about how to stay safe as it relates to boating under the influence.
Yep, got that. There you go. Appreciate it. You bet.
Well, thank you, Director Schaefer. Thank you, Commissioner Ketterer. And good morning, everybody. As we head into a historic 4th of July weekend here, I want to stress the importance in staying safe while boating out on the water. This includes a reminder to never boat under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Specifically, on July 3rd through July 5th this weekend, WCOs like myself, as well as other members of law enforcement around Pennsylvania and the entire county, will be taking part in Operation Dry Water. Operation Dry Water includes enhanced BUI enforcement or boating under the influence. And what that means and what it will be looking like is you will have these officers taking part in constant sobriety checks. Constant sobriety checks. You'll be looking at waterways and boat launches and boat accesses around the districts throughout the Commonwealth. Last year, the Fish and Boat Commission arrested 27 boaters for BUIs. About 9 of those arrests occurred over the 4th of July weekend alone, which is what we're going to be going into here. And that equates to about roughly a third of all BUI arrests from 2025 season. Simply put, boating while impaired increases your chance of accident while out on the water. Just like operating motor vehicle on any given roadway, the legal limit for boating is 0.08% BAC or blood alcohol content. Blood alcohol content, when taking effect inside the body, it reduces your inability for judgment. It reduces motor control. Your balance is impaired, as well as any other motor skills that you may need to operate your watercraft while out and about on the water. BUI penalties include some of them: boat privileges or loss of boat privileges, significant fines and penalties, as well as possible imprisonment. Bottom line is if you do plan to go out this holiday season, being the 4th of July weekend, when you're out there, make sure that if you do decide to partake in any alcohol drinking, that you delegate a reasonable and responsible, sober boat operator to get you back to the dock in which you safely arrived in. I'll turn it back over to Tim.
Thanks, Cameron. Thanks, Officer Bettinger. In addition to the BUI message that we really want to drive home, a couple other safety tips that we want to offer here today. The first one is always wear your life jacket. And I can tell you, if we had impaired boaters off the water and everybody was wearing their life jackets, we would not have the fatalities that we do annually in Pennsylvania. Each year in Pennsylvania and across the country, about 80% of the fatalities are associated with people who are not wearing their life jackets. So please, if you're going to boat this holiday weekend throughout the year, wear your life jacket. Reminder, you have to have a U.S. Coast Guard life jacket on board for all passengers in your boat. They have to fit and they need to be operable. When I say they need to fit, a good rule of thumb for kids is something called the touchdown test, or if the kids can put their arm, or anybody, put their arm up like this, if you can pull that life jacket up over their head, it's too loose. When they're in the water, that might come over their head and be a suffocation hazard. You want to make sure it's nice and tight. You can pull the kid up by the straps here on the shoulder. So make sure that you have them on board for everyone. They fit and they're operable. Officer Bettinger and his counterparts are trained to assess those life jackets. And if a buckle's broken, if a snap's broken, if a zipper's broken, that's not operable. It doesn't work, and that would be a violation. For kids under 12 years old, they have to wear their life jacket on all boats less than 20 feet in length, and all canoe, kayaks, and paddleboards. All kids have to wear their life jackets on those vessels. And then another thing is on water skiing, right? Water skiing is a lot of fun. There will be a ton of water skiing happening throughout Pennsylvania this holiday weekend. Whoever's being towed behind the boat has to be wearing a standard life jacket. Inflatable life jackets a lot of people have them these days. They're really comfortable to wear when you're fishing, when you're on a boat. Those are not legal when you're being towed behind a boat. It needs to be a non-inflatable life jacket that you're wearing when you're being being towed behind the boat. Again, if we eliminate drunk boaters and everybody wore their life jacket, we would essentially eliminate fatalities here in Pennsylvania. Now I'll turn it over to Tom Cobley with the Pennsylvania DUI Association. In addition to folks being on the water a lot, there'll be a lot of people on the roads, and he'll give you some tips for how to stay safe when you're getting from one boating destination to another.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission for inviting the Pennsylvania DUI Association to this important event. My name is Tom Cobley. I'm a regional DUI program administrator for the South Central region here in Pennsylvania. We are a nonprofit highway safety organization that manages several grants and contracts with PennDOT, and we're dedicated to removing impaired drivers from our roadways and eliminating the injuries and deaths they cause. We work in all areas of impaired driving problem, from prevention and education, training of law enforcement, to supervision and treatment of DUI offenders with the state's Highway Ignition Interlock Highway Safety School for DUI offenders. Each year across the nation, thousands of individuals are killed or injured by impaired drivers. Last year in Pennsylvania alone, there were 258 fatalities in impaired driving-related crashes. Remember, impaired driving includes alcohol and drugs, legal, illegal, over-the-counter, or prescription drugs. Last year on the 4th of July through 6 a.m., July 5th, there were 63 driving-related crashes, impaired driving-related crashes, with 2 fatalities and 36 injuries. Yes, that's just one day in Pennsylvania. While this event focuses on boating, everyone will be getting to and from a boat by way of a vehicle on a highway. Not only should we be aware of the hazards of boating while operating impaired, but that can also start on the highways before you get to the water and can carry over after enjoying a day on the water. We want to remind everyone there's no such thing as a legal limit on the highways. If you come in contact with officers and they decide you are impaired and incapable of safely driving, you could possibly be arrested and prosecuted with any level of alcohol or drugs in your system. Remember that if you feel different, you drive different, and the officers across Pennsylvania are trained to see this, and they will be out as well in full force this holiday weekend. This July 4th, we as a nation have a lot to be thankful for and celebrate. Let's ensure everyone gets home. If you choose to drink, do so responsibly. Find other means of transportation. Hand the keys to a sober driver. Whatever it takes to ensure that you and your loved ones arrive home safely at your destination. Thank you, and please enjoy the holidays. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. Thanks to Tom for those safety messages. Now I'll, to round things out, turn it over to Steve Ketterer. Steve, if you're familiar with boating here in the Harrisburg area, you probably know Steve Ketterer. Steve's been a long-time volunteer with Harrisburg River Rescue. We were talking before this event that Steve's had plenty of 2 a.m. phone calls to deal with issues on the river that are related to impaired boaters. So Steve's going to give you a couple tips to keep you safe to bring us home.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. Thank you. There you go. Along with wearing a life jacket and never boating under the influence of alcohol or drugs, I'd like to mention a few of the things that you can do while safely boating on the local waterways. Patience and courtesy at a boat ramp can go a long way. Remember that the boat ramps along our rivers and lakes will be especially busy this weekend. There may even be some first-timers out there, so be patient, offer your assistance, and just wish them a safe trip. Use the parking lot to gather your items prior to launching your boat, so this way the other boaters can properly launch their craft, move out of the way, and get ready for the next boater. Yield to incoming boats. Expect a mix of inexperienced and experienced boaters. Again, you always have a choice to be helpful to a new boater. Please do that. Have a float plan. It doesn't have to be complicated. Send a text or a note to someone back home, on the shore, a relative, a friend, or whatever. Let them know where you're going and let them know approximately what time you're anticipating on returning. If your plan changes, please update the plan throughout the day as needed. And more importantly here, check the weather forecast. With this kind of weather that we're experiencing this week, you can almost bet there's going to be upcoming storms, pop-up storms. Summer storms can be unpredictable, so plan to get off the river safely if you have to, or find refuge in an area to hold out until the storm passes. If you arrive to a high, muddy water and other conditions beyond your level of experience, please don't go boating. More importantly here, especially in our region right here, and there are many throughout the state, be careful of the dams. Dams are very deceiving. They are marked, and they're marked properly. If you're coming upon the dam, don't take your chance and try to think you can outwork the dam. So be very mindful of the dam. Here in South Central Pennsylvania, we are blessed with amazing waterways for boating. Please have fun this upcoming 4th of July weekend and be prepared and safe. Tim?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So that concludes the messages for today. We are going to have a simulated BUI of demonstration from Officer Bettinger of what we look for impaired boaters. So if any of the media would like to join us here as Cameron simulates, who you're going to be simulating on someone? Do you have someone picked out? You need a volunteer? Okay, all righty. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you. Yep, thanks. And finally, reminder that this July 4th is our final Fish for Free Day in Pennsylvania. Every year we coincide our 2 Fish for Free days, one with Memorial Day and one with the 4th of July. If you've never fished before, this is a great time to try where you don't need a license. If you're taking someone along to a state park or another waterway who hasn't fished, take an extra rod along, show them how to do it. And if you really enjoy fishing, please go to our website, fishandboat.com. You can get your license there and enjoy the rest of the year. Speaking of fishandboat.com, that's our website. That's a great place to find tips on safe boating. If you want to take a basic boating course, you can find out where to access one of those. Get your launch permits for your kayaks, get your fishing licenses, and learn all the things you need to be a safe boater on the water. Okay, thanks.
So momentarily here, we'll be just showing you guys what a seated battery test or seated field sobriety test is going to look like. Varies a little bit different than your average standing field sobriety test, which you may have seen in countless dashboard cam videos throughout social media and stuff of that nature. The reason being we do a seated version for waterways conservation officers or any law enforcement on the water is because simply you can't do all the same testings that you would be able to do on a hard stability surface such as a roadway or anything of that nature or gravel floor. So when you're on a boat, the best way to do it, and that we have found in the past, is that if you have it seated and the person is stable and they feel confident with where they're seated, we go through a series of different steps that way. Just like standing field sobriety, we start off with horizontal gaze and nystagmus, which is a quick check of the eyes, and that is a tall tale indicator that you can base on how much impairment an individual or a subject may be experiencing at that given moment. Some of the other ones we do is the hand coordination test. It's as simple as touching your finger to the tip of your nose. The next one would be the palm pat test. Just a little simple dexterity as well as coordination test with the palm pat. And then your final one is going to be your hand coordination test. So it's like walking that straight line on the ground if you were taking a standing field sobriety. However, being seated, you're going to walk your fists out in a step-like fashion for that. So a little bit different. If you guys haven't seen it before, we'll break it down to you here. Right, you must touch your right index finger to your nose. When I say left, you must touch your left index finger to your nose. You understand? Maybe get. Right. Last but not least, we're going to do a hand coordination test. It's going to be a little bit more passage, move your fist in a step-like fashion, reverse order, counting out loud from 5 to 8, and returning your left fist to the center of your chest, like so. And the fourth passage to open your hands with palms down and place them in your lap. Do you understand the steps that I have explained to you? Yes. Maybe again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go back to this one.
We want those boating opportunities to be safe this 4th of July weekend. So thanks to Steve, thanks to Tom, thanks to Cameron. Not legal when you're being towed behind a boat. It needs to be a non-inflatable life jacket that you're wearing when you're being towed behind the boat.
Palm to palm with one hand up and one hand down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and relax. Left. I talked with him, and I said, the chief, I said, you ought to make a citation of inability, and you guys should need to be makers for the youth program to you guys. And they can run citation. All right. One. Nice one. Yeah, Watch your elbow. Watch your elbow.